All right. The girls' room. Date IRL, whatever. Another scary session in the girls' room where I have zero filter and I have to ask friends to watch this just in case I seem really crazy and psychotic, which is fine because it's a safe space. It's always a safe space in the girls' room. And for this topic, it was actually prompted by a very unsuspecting source, which was Adia. I was watching, or I was trying to find a movie in the like everlasting, never ending catalog of the Netflix, the Hulus, the Disneys, all the things, all of the streaming possibilities, and was like, you know what? I'll just do Diary of a Mad Black Woman because it's actually pretty good. Like, this, I think, was at the time where Tyler Perry really maybe had to make more of a name for himself, so wasn't dialed too much into the Madea character, but just like the world, creating the world of Madea and creating real stories. And I liked it. So, I'm going to get into the epitome of a woman that I discovered while watching Medea's Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And I'm just gonna have an honest conversation with myself in the girls' room about what that means, what it looks like to be a real woman, a dainty woman, a feminine woman, and is that the picture that everyone is kind of aiming for? Who created this? I don't know. I'm not gonna get that far in this episode. I'm not gonna go digging into it, but maybe how that affects the culture, and ultimately my topic for the day. I watched Medea's Diary of a Mad Black Woman and the epitome of a wife and of a woman, which I kind of gathered as I watched this a little bit. And I've seen it many a times, but I was just sitting there the other day, like, okay, she's dainty, she's pretty, she wears dresses all the time. And now she is literally dating the most amazing looking man while she's still married. Wow. Good for you. I mean, goodness. Like, the rest of us out here in 2024 are struggling. Not all of us, because if I even say anything in that vein, some of my friends are like, "What? I date all the time." And I'm like, "But you're still single. So what's the point? Like, I'm single, you're single. You date 20 men, I date one or two, and we're still at the same spot. So don't think you're one up on me." Okay. But all right. So I was watching this movie by myself on a Friday night. Was it Friday? No, it was probably Thursday. I don't think I did anything on Friday. And it was really not my first option at all. Like, I've seen it several times. I saw it when it came out. I don't know if I saw it in theaters, but looking back, it's definitely one of my favorite Tyler Perry movies. I only have a couple that I can actually kind of stand. So my take on marriage is pretty simple. I want to get married. I don't know how I'm gonna do it because I don't want to date at all. Um, but I just know that I think is going to breed blessings and just continued life. Um, I believe in marriage, and I know that is like an unpopular opinion these days because everyone's so anti everything. But I want to get married, and even though I was watching Medea, it didn't Especially it's Madea. I'm like, it's not gonna really affect my stance on anything. But that marriage that she was in was, woof, horrible. But I think that there are a lot of people in these loveless marriages. I don't really know why. Well, actually, I think that there is some picture we have in our heads of what we want our future to look like, and it is marriage, it's kids, it's white picket fence. And so we get into these things, not realizing that we might not really know the person in a way that we need to. We might not be asking the right questions. We might not have gotten to the point within ourselves to be a full person. And so I'm taking this stage that I'm in as an opportunity to develop myself as a full person so that by the time I get married, I don't have to get divorced. Like, I'm not riding your coattail or, submitting without reason. I'm like doing it for the greater good. Like, I'll submit to certain things, you submit to certain things because we have a true partnership. And that's something she didn't have, which I think might be the case for a lot of people, which is why, I'm 32, but this is the stage and age where a lot of people are getting divorced because they stepped into something in their 20s because they thought this is what you do. You're supposed to get married in your 20s. This is the dream, especially for women. Like, oh, I'm, engaged at 25 or 24, and then I can have kids early. It's all about like the biological time, the biological clock for women that I think puts the pedal to the metal. It's like I have to do this by this age. Like there's always this timeline. I'm like I definitely get sucked in moments. And after watching that movie and during the time I was watching that movie, I was like, okay, I might be a little behind. Like she's currently married. I mean, sucks to be her in this current state because she's literally getting thrown out of her house. But she has Shamar Moore waiting for her. I don't mind that being part of my life, part of my plot. Because that is a gorgeous man, even through all the attempts to uglify him. Like they put on that crazy wig in an attempt to distract us from his beauty, and it still didn't work. It's like, no, that man is gorgeous. Oh my God. Woo! That face. It's just like, oh, how? Why? Why are you so attractive? So I get it. But on top of that movie making me kind of think about marriage and why people jump into things that don't end well. And of course, you don't jump into something thinking it's not going to end well, but if you really thought about it and really had no pressure on time or age or anything, I doubt you'd make the same decision. You'd be like, wait a second, you're not really hitting all of these on my list. Like, I'm hitting the things on your list, but it's not 50-50 in that way. It's not mutual. And so, you make mistakes, and we all do, and we have to live with them. And I have to also allow myself to be patient, which is really hard, especially when you watch any movie with any love in it. It's like, okay, well, again, she's married, but she found somebody immediately. Wow, I'm really behind. Let me go find somebody. Let me go find somebody real quick, which is very possible and very unhard, which isn't a word, but it's not hard. Like, yes, I can, and I had to stop myself because I know it's like as soon as I get those, I really had to stop myself from going down that path of like, okay, maybe it's time to settle down. Maybe I need to just like date and go on these apps and stuff. But then I just like rewind, and I'm like, you've done this, you failed. Why do it again? Like, are you really going to trust God in this process, or are you going to let your mind take control again and not have patience? Like, what's it going to be? Either you're going to trust God or you're not. And I know for a fact that I'm in a way better place than I've been, just mentally and spiritually and emotionally. So why disrupt that? And I had to remind myself that where I'm at now and what I'm doing now is fine. When I get married, I don't want to get divorced. We're all so young. I mean, we're not all so young, but I certainly am. And I don't need to be clocking myself because of what I think the standards are. And a lot of time when you're talking to people, where I am, because love always, always comes up, it's like, oh, when was your last relationship? And it's like that pressure of having to say, oh, it was a couple years ago. And I'm like, it's been a while. And I'm fine with that. Like, not giving into the pressure that no one's really putting on you, putting on me. Like, you have to have a relationship every 2 to 3 years or something's wrong with you. Like, who cares? I cannot afford to care, because if I do, I step into something that is so wrong, which a lot of people do. A lot of people step into situations that are not the end goal. Maybe it's okay to just have one person. I don't have to date a slew of people, even though in one of these past episodes I said maybe I want to do that. But if the end goal is marriage, why do I need to date? Because that doesn't even make any sense. Of course I need to date. But you know what? It's the girls' room. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm throwing spaghetti on the walls and seeing what sticks. Because everybody's out here doing something with somebody. And it's interesting because when I talk to people and I'm like, no, I'm single. And I'm like, I'm very single. They're like, what? How? What do you mean? How single? Everybody's got that one person that they can always hit up. And I'm like, I do not. I don't. And why do I need to have that? For what? For lust? I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be intentional, and that means like waiting forever. I mean, the thought of 10 years scares me so much. I mean, I'm like 10 years single. Ugh, that's not, I don't know what my truth is, and that's not necessarily where I'm getting at right now. But I know one of my friends is 10 years single, and it does raise flags. It does raise at least like a conversation and curiosity, like why? But I try not to even lean into that, because why not? Like, why do you have to be this? And I know that the end game for a lot of people is love. Like, nobody wants to die alone. But I think we should make it a habit of just accepting people's truths wholeheartedly, especially when it comes to love, because there's so much pressure around it. And I just don't agree. I think that everyone has their own journey, and as we saw with Diary of a Mad Black Woman, sometimes you get into things early and you get thrown out of the house. But what really stuck out in that movie was her new love life with Shamar freaking Moore. Not just because this man is too attractive to pay attention to the movie. Like, I'm watching the movie on my couch and I'm like, wow. Like, I literally had to put my glasses on. I had to make sure they're just on. I'm like, you're gorgeous. Like, he's so fine. He's so fine. Like, of course she dated him while she was still married. How could you not? And not even in that way, but just like, her husband was foul. So he came at the right time. But like, how did he come so quick? Like, she must have something special about her, because you just got out of something and you get with the finest man on earth. Whatever you got, I want some of it. I don't even care. Like maybe I don't, I'm not ready for something like that, but I want him. But it made me kind of, just the movie altogether made me think about what I want. Like, think about, first off, I really think that I am such a late bloomer when it comes to conversations about love, relationships in general, and just coming into my own skin and my own style and everything. Like, I've just have never been a girl's girl, and I think that in a lot of ways, what comes with being a girl's girl is, liking boys and having crushes and flings and boyfriends throughout school. And I was just never, ever, 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 ever interested, ever, in boys, ever. I was just like, what? No, no, for what? Um, so I'm kind of like getting it all out now in my 30s. And not just that, like, am feeling really great about myself, really confident in my skin. And the confidence is just growing, of course, but I'm certainly happy where I'm at right now. But in watching that movie, I'm just like, is this what a relationship, the new relationship, not the old one, the new relationship is supposed to look like? Her with the dress and just the overall femininity that she's exuding through their little like montages through the park, because that's super cute, but I don't see myself in that. And what does that mean for me if I don't see myself in what at least I was deeming at the time of watching it the epitome of a woman in a way? And maybe just the epitome of a woman that has a man like that, because that's the type of man I want. Whatever I don't remember what he does. He's like in some sort of, oof, not construction industry, but something where he's working with his hands in a warehouse. And, that sounds manly, but I just feel like the type of guy I want gets with women like that, just feminine. And I know it's like always something that I think about, because I don't think that I am her. And I think that I'm so quick to be like not snarky, but just a little witty, maybe too witty, and maybe have too much banter and too like jokey, because that's just who I am. Like, I'm not going to necessarily change because you're a man, but if I like you, you'll see certain changes in me because I'll be giddy, I'll be softer. Um, but all the time, I don't know, I feel like that might die out a little bit, but it's just felt like she just has had this overall essence of like womanhood. And I know obviously that women look so different to different people, but in watching that, I just sat there and wondered, is that me? But it just had me thinking, like, all the women in all of these rom-coms kind of have this vibe and feel that they are, women. And since women, it seems, just means dainty and feminine and wears dresses and stuff, I kind of feel like an outlier sometimes. I feel like I'm on the outside looking in, and that's the answer to why it's taken me a long time to kind of find my forever. Lord knows I'm not looking, but neither was she. She wasn't looking either. Do I need to dress more dainty? I was talking to a friend about this, and it's like, no, you don't have to do anything. Like, just be you. And yeah, I believe that, I receive that, and I know that to be true. And I don't technically have any issues in the man department. I don't think I do. I just run. I'm a runner. I'm like, ooh, are you flirting with me? Like, not even flirting, but like, do you like me? Because this is hard. This is gonna be hard. Um, and maybe I feel like I'm not gonna be able to uphold certain roles. Like, am I a little too harsh? Am I a little too dominant, as a male friend has told me? Not too dominant, but he was like, oh, you're kind of dominant. And I like this guy. He's cool. We went to high school together or whatever. Um, but certain things like that kind of sticks with me because it's just piled on top of things I've already felt when I've just grown up, just ever since I've been a kid. I always felt like I didn't want to be a woman, because I didn't want whatever sauce they were trying to give me. Like, I don't like hold the lip gloss, hold the skirt. Does that make me like, what does that make me now? Am I still accepted as this gender? Am I still accepted as a girl, as a lady, as a woman, as a young woman? Um, I know now that none of that stuff makes up, a woman. But when I was younger, I just like really resented the notion that I had to wear a certain thing, I had to present a certain way. I get it now. I mean, honestly, I love dresses. I love dressing up, and I know that that's not like my stake in womanhood, but I actually just love to do it. And, you know, it definitely does make me feel more womanly, but I can't keep that up all the time. And it was just interesting that that movie made me reflect on years past of being a kid and not feeling represented. Not even just on TV at all, because like my favorite movie was Cinderella, even though it doesn't really give you a full picture on Cinderella at all. Because she was locked up with mice for most of the time. But it's interesting how that made me feel. And on to the next one. And there are a lot of attractive men. Like, it's almost like everywhere I turn, there's an attractive man just waiting for me. And I'm just sitting there or standing there, very demure, very mindful that I'm looking good because I'm working out. I feel good. I'm spirited. And, if you don't talk to me, it's probably either because you're gay or you are married or have a girlfriend. That's it. And so, I mean, even at like the apothecary today, there was kind of a cutie that was waiting in line behind me. He looked kind of young, but so do I. And I was like, okay, I see you, and I'm making notice of you. And kind of like Fresh Prince, where it's like, I notice you noticing me, and I'm gonna put you on notice that I'm noticing you back. Nothing came of it. I didn't necessarily want anything to come of it because I'm not gonna go out of my way to do anything. But that to say, like, I am in this space and era where there's just like an influx. There is no shortage of attractive men, and I want them all. And I think that these crushes and these moments of just like interest are good for me because I can just cross them all off my list, and wait for the person that actually does something. I'm waiting for the action guy. Because again, I'm not super easy, and I don't know what kind of face I give off when you first see me. It might be a little harsh, like don't talk to me. I think I'm way better now at just like smizing or just being approachable because I want people to feel comfortable around me, men and women, whatever. Well, mostly I want attractive men to feel comfortable and feel like I'm approachable. But I am like so surprised almost that there's just so many of them. There are so many attractive people, attractive men. Maybe it's a LA thing. I doubt it is. But what probably is a LA thing is that nobody talks to you. Like, you gotta talk to them. Like, these boys are pretty, just like Shamar Moore. Except Shamar Moore, because he was in what looked to be Georgia, he was a go getter. He was a hunter. He was like, I'm not dating, but I'm dating you. That's the type of guy I want. I want a Shamar Moore type. Type that is persistent and is a go getter. He was on it. He was like, I'm not leaving without a yes. And in parts, like, okay, get the hint. I'm glad he didn't, though, because I was definitely watching. I was like, okay, guy, it's kind of going from really sweet and cute and just like dreamy to you're kind of not listening to her say no. And it seems like this is all about you. You're seeming a little narcissistic. Like, you propose to her all of a sudden, you force her to say she loves you. I mean, I know in my heart that she did. She does love you. And she wanted to say yes to the proposal. But it seemed kind of fresh. Like, y'all were dating. Mind you were seeing each other every day, which is another thing that I absolutely love. It's like, if you're into somebody, why are we waiting? Why are we acting like we can't just see that person every day? It might be much. It might be a little much. It might be. But if you like the person, let it be known. Don't waste time. Waste time, you get forgotten. And so I really liked that about his character. It also gave me pause, but I mostly liked it. That's what I want. You know, you want somebody that just loves you so hard that they can't live without you. They cannot just be friends. Like he said as he screamed in the cafe, I can't be your friend. I love you too hard. I'm like, God, I love that. Kind of reminded me of a time that kind of sort of almost happened to me twice, actually. So it's definitely true. They don't want to be your friend. Nope. Which I get. It's just a way for women to, shoot you down without really shooting you down. It's like, oh, let's just be friends. I don't think we want to be friends either. We don't know what that looks like. I've said it. Don't think I've meant it, but I've said it. And so, even the look of Shamar Moore on the screen, I was like, oh, I'm ready to risk it all. What job? What future? I don't care about none of that. And that's not healthy. Like, I still want to have a life for myself so that I don't get pushed out of my house after 20 years of marriage, out on the street, hoping that the guy picking me up in the U-Haul looks like Shamar Moore, but knowing it probably won't be that moment. And so, after me staring into a daze, thinking about the whys and the whats and the hows and the problems and all that, I realized I have to wait for my Shamar Moore. And he's out there. He is out there. And I don't need to be Kimberly Elise. And also, we only see a fraction of her. She had to put on this extra feminine. She in the South. That's all they got. They ain't got no jeans out there, please. And it's all about the learnings. And sometimes you gotta dive into your childhood trauma through watching Madea movies and coming back to Earth and saying, all right, you know what? It's okay to feel what you feel right now, but just don't dwell on it. And I'm so happy I was able to get out of that little 10-minute funk while I was watching her have a really quick romance with the man of all of our dreams. And I said, no, Joy, you're good. Like, you're literally good right now. Chill. You've been running into really cool men. Like, God is really setting me up right now. And I feel like there are a lot of men around my orbit that are fine and are like good guys, so they seem, you know? They're just all kind of circling the orbit. And it's good that it's circling it because I'm not like fully ready to dive in, because I think once I dive in, it is a wrap. Like, again, career what? Career advancement, what's that? Like, no, I'm getting married. I don't care about none of that. We're gonna start a family, we're gonna have a farm. I need to be a little more secure in where I wanna be, what I wanna do, and all that before I get tied down. Because I want to tie myself down. I want to lock myself up. I'm like, it's time to go. I told my boss in, just a joking type of way mostly. Like, when I get married or I get proposed to, I quit. I'm like, hee hee ha ha. But no, seriously, I quit. I don't need to do this. Like, I'm out of here. Me and my husband will figure it out. We are gonna skedaddle. So I'm happy that I have all this time and I'm able to reflect and I'm able to just talk to myself and talk it out with myself. Like, it's okay that you are not the picture of a woman when you watch these rom-coms. It's okay that you don't always have your hair so neatly done and tucked behind your ear. Whenever a man is around, and that your dresses don't always flow with the wind, and that you aren't always soft spoken. It's okay, because it doesn't take anything away from you. It just represents who you are, and something that should not be hidden, something that shouldn't be dismissed or changed.